Chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Connecticut, Ms. Esty, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to a 5-minute consent line.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, 6 months ago tomorrow, the town of Newtown experienced unimaginable tragedy and unparalleled loss. That loss, the painful loss of sons and daughters, spouses, siblings, and friends, is still very raw and will always run very deep for the people of Newtown. And yet, in the face of that unimaginable tragedy, on that day and on the days since, this small community that has been through so much has inspired our nation with tremendous courage and resilience. Americans have been inspired by the 6 brave educators who gave their very lives to defend and protect their students. Americans have been inspired by the brave first responders who arrived on the scene to save others and live with the trauma of what they saw that day. Americans have been inspired by the Sandy Hook families who, despite living with a pain that one can only begin to imagine, have responded to loss not with anger or hate, but with unbelievable love, strength, and courage. They've taken their call to action to Hartford, where a comprehensive set of common sense gun laws passed with bipartisan support. They've taken the call to action to state capitals around this country, and they've taken that call to action here in Washington. But here, they faced inexplicable political cowardice. Mr. Speaker, in the 6 months since that terrible day, since we lost 26 precious lives in Newtown, nearly 4,800 Americans have also lost their lives to gun violence. But during that same time, this House has not held a single vote on common sense gun reform to reduce and prevent gun violence, not even enhanced criminal background checks. 46 senators blocked an up or down vote on enhanced background checks. This is a reform that the families and members of the Newtown community have asked our elected leaders to support. It is a reform supported by over 90% of the American people, and it is shameful that we have not yet had a chance to vote. And yet, in spite of that obstruction and misinformation, these families and this community have refused to give up. On Tuesday, I was honored to again meet with several of the Newtown families as they traveled here to continue to lead the push for common sense gun laws. And I'm honored that several members of that community of the Newtown Alliance are with us here in the gallery today. In meeting with the families, I was given pictures of their loved ones that they've been handing out to elected officials from across the country. This photo of school psychologist Mary Sherlock reads, "One of 6 educators who on December 14th became first responders equipped with just their lives. Can you show the same courage with your vote?" And this photo on this card of, we will make sure we have the card of Dylan Hockley. We have a picture of Dylan Hockley with his words, "Honor his life. Stand with us for change. Now is the time." And here's the picture of precious Dylan Hockley. And with this card, the photos of 6-year-old Benjamin Wheeler asks, "What is worth doing?" Mr. Speaker, these words, these faces, these lives mark the call to action for Newtown. They mark the call to action in Hartford and Aurora, Chicago and Santa Monica, and every community torn apart by gun violence. And the sad truth is that this Congress has not met this call to action. This Congress has not shown the courage to pass common sense gun reforms. But the good news is that it is not too late for this Congress to do better, and now is the time. We must do it for Mary. We must do better for Dylan. We must do better for Benjamin, and for Charlotte, for Daniel and Olivia, for Josephine, for Anna, and for Madeline, for Catherine, for Chase, and for Jesse, for James, for Grace, and for Emily, for Jack, for Noah and for Caroline, for Jessica, for Abiel, and for Allison, for Rachel, Dawn, and Anne-Marie, for Lauren and Victoria. We can and we must do better. These families cannot forget and will not give up. Neither can we. The gentlelady's time has expired. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.